Booyakasha, and welcome to episode 41 of the Scottish Liberty podcast with me, Antony Sammeroff.
Tom Laird.
And Tom Laird. How are you today?
Doing well, especially with this another delicious smoothie courtesy of Pan Sammeroff. What's in the smoothie this week, Antony?
Cranberry juice, pineapple juice, apple, orange, banana, grapes, and coconut juice, coconut water.
We should have a lime in this.
Yeah.
And sell it.
Oh yeah, you could put a lime in it. She put the lime in the coconut. She drank it all up. I do actually. That song amuses me, I have to say. So do you know?
Anyway, so are we going to get straight into this?
Let's get straight into it.
Well, Antony, you've got something for us this week in terms of apparently that every map in the world's a piece of shit.
That is actually true.
Okay.
Well, not literally true.
Because I love maps, and generally speaking.
Did you want to be a cartographer?
I didn't, but I just like. I mean, I can sit looking at a map for hours and just looking at details and borders and sort of the topography of it. It's fascinating.
Well, then you may or may not be delighted to announce that the famous map that by Flemish cartographer I really should have figured out how to pronounce his name. Gerard. Someone will tell us.
Gerardus
Mercator, the German-Flemish, German-Netherlandish cartographer that we've been using our whole lives is maybe disappearing. Boston Public Schools map switched to make amends for 500 years of distortion, reports The Guardian. When Boston Public Schools introduced a new standard map of the world this week, some young students felt their jaws drop. In an instant, their view of the world had changed. The USA was small. Europe, too, had suddenly shrunk. Africa and South Africa appeared narrower, but also much larger than usual. Sorry, South America. And what happened to Alaska? In the age of fake news and alternative facts, city authorities are confident. When did it become the age of fake news? Because I thought the age of fake news was always basically right up. And now that the alternative media is actually bringing some facts, suddenly everyone's worried about fake news. Yeah. But anyway.
I mean, the most mainstream media companies and newspapers have been guilty of fake news.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've managed to get everyone into the war in Iraq on a pack of lies. Yep. And they continue without shame. Yeah. So, anyway, for 500 years, the Mercator projection has been the most popular map in the world, I would say. Anyway, so what do you think about changing the maps before we get into the details?
Well, I mean, does anybody actually care enough? I mean, is it what? Okay, what's the beef? What is the beef really?
Right. Well,
is this political correctness gone mad?
Well, it's up for the viewers at home to decide. Okay. But I'm not against this as such, as long as it's not government mandated, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
This map was basically commissioned by Europeans at a time when Europe was seen as the center of the earth. And it does actually give you a very distorted view of what the world looks like. Now, when you're going to create a map, whatever way you make a two-dimensional map out of a three-dimensional spherical object, it is going to look distorted. But this is kind of abused in a European centrist viewpoint. You could even argue with strongly, well, I don't think there's much of an argument. It is with strongly racist overtones, because you've got large imposing Europe at the center, when actually in reality, Europe's much smaller and it's further into the northern hemisphere. Now, no one would have objected to this in the 1500s, of course. And part of the reason why the map was designed this way was to make the shipping routes to colonies look like straighter lines than they were to for navigation purposes. So it wasn't all malicious, but just to give you
so the map's Eurocentric, basically.
Yeah, yes, you're right, but it's more than that. It's very distorted. So The 18.9 million square miles of land above the equator actually looks considerably larger than the 38.6 million square miles in the southern hemisphere.
Okay.
Europe is 3.8 million square miles, but it looks larger than South America, which is 6.9 million square miles. So it's hugely distorted. China is actually 4 times the size of Greenland, but on the map, China looks about half the size of Greenland.
Yeah.
And then you've got Scandinavia, which, if you look up the map that you think that Scandinavia is a lot bigger than it is. It's only 0.4 million square miles. Which on the map, it dwarfs India, which is actually over 3 times the size of Scandinavia, at 1.3 million square miles. Just Alaska, 0.6 million square miles, looks much larger than Mexico, which is slightly larger, 0.7 million square miles. And the biggest distortion of all would be the comparison of the 8.6 million square miles of the old Soviet Union, which looks huge in the map, and 11.6 miles of Africa, which is absolutely minimized on the map.
So it's Eurocentric, it's distorted, and in the end, inaccurate. Okay.
I would say that it came as a shock to me when I saw these stats and I saw them compared on the map, because I've come to see the world based on this map, but actually my view of the world is completely wrong. It's completely skewed. I don't actually have a proper notion of the relative size of China. I don't have a proper notion of the relative size of Africa. And I think, obviously, any image that you've got in your head is a map, and it is going to be distorted, but it's far overly so. Yeah.
I mean, actually, I know what I'm talking about, because Antony here is actually 6'6", and I'm 4'3". But you would never ever work that out from looking at this. But no, what I don't get, what I really don't get is Greenland. Why does that get such a prominent place on the map? What is the need to make Greenland this huge giant piece of territory?
If there are any cartographers that can shed some light on that issue, perhaps you'll let us know. I wonder if it's just because of the other places that they were trying to make big, and the only way to actually make the whole thing work was to make Greenland so big.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So, do we have a picture of what the map would look like if it was accurate?
Right. Well, I mean, I could. If you go to the Guardian article. Boston Public Schools map switch aimed to amend 500 years of distortion, you can see a more accurate map.
Okay.
Perhaps I can share screens with our loyal viewers, and I might have to.
Can we do that?
First ever.
Sounds dangerous to me.
First ever on the Scottish Liberty podcast, I'll have to hide my pornography first.
Wow, what's going on there?
This is so that now.
Is that the dwarf she's got there? What's going on?
So this is the map, and perhaps I can, if for any of you watching on YouTube, for those of you which are the majority that are listening to the podcast, you can't see it. This is, let's say, a more accurate map. It won't be perfectly accurate because there's no such thing.
Right.
But
I've got to be honest, it doesn't look all that far removed from the maps that I know and love.
I think it looks, well, I mean, obviously Africa is the most prominent place.
It just kind of looks as if it's been all squashed up a bit more.
Well, it's actually our map that's been squashed down.
Okay. I don't know. Is it me, or does Africa now just look like a big flaccid penis?
Everything looks like a big flaccid penis when you have your reproductive problems.
Okay, fair enough. You heard it here first. Thanks for being so candid about my problems with our viewers and listeners.
Great.
I want to demonstrate.
So,
you'd be glad to know.
Would you care to move on to the next news story?
Well, was that it? I mean, I mean, what do we do with this? You gave us all this information.
Well, I don't really know if there's a libertarian point on it, other than the fact that it shouldn't be applied. No one should be obliged at gunpoint to use the new decolonized maps.
Okay.
However, I think that if these new ones spread voluntarily, then that could very well be a good thing, just in terms of our mental hygiene and trying to have a view of the world that's relatively close to reality.
Where do we stand on the flat Earth?
Well, I guess that we stand on the surface of it. Otherwise, we
I
just...
could have fed you that line there.
I thought it was just funny. But,
yeah, but this, I don't know if anybody's ever looked at this kind of stuff. I mean, for a while I was into the Hollow Earth thing, just because I found it interesting. Quite, these things are fun in their own way. But recently, I always knew there was like a flat Earth society, although I thought it long ago. I'm saying long ago, maybe 20 years ago. I thought it like just they gave up the ghost. But apparently, no. There's a whole trend out there at the moment of flat earthers who, and they'll show you, they'll claim that they've spoken to pilots and so forth, and they'll tell you, oh yeah, it's definitely, if you look at it, if you look at the way airlines, fly and the way they divert, if they had to actually divert and it was a flat Earth, they would be able to do that on this, and they show you a map, everything looks fantastic, but it's absolutely bonkers. And that's what that reminded me there.
But bonkers, that's not an argument. It's not an argument.
We'll do it live. Okay, so anyway, we're moving on from flat Earths and decolonialized maps. Tell us what you think about it. Should we decolonialize the map I don't know. I mean, kids, I'd be lucky if they get them to look at a map at all, I would reckon. So, yeah, maybe they should do something a bit more exciting with it. Why are we still using maps? Why haven't we got 3D images? Not like a globe, I just thought an actual swivelly 3D thing.
We were promised these things.
Yeah, and my jetpack and my hoverboard.
My jetpack.
Yeah.
So, if you know how to program a 3D hologram of the Earth, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll get you on the show sooner than later.
Yeah.
And,
as long as it's a decolonialized 3D hologram of the Earth.
Are we on to the Cuck?
Are we going to do? Is it Cuck-a-doodle-doo? The Cuck-a-doodle-doo time already?
Of the week, it is, and some people will suggest that I am the Cuck-a-doodle-doo of the week because I defended decolonializing the maps. I'm sure there's some alt-rightist white supremacists who think I'm just paving the way for African and Muslim hordes to bum rape me, or sleep with my girlfriend, which would be more accurate to the. Not anymore, unfortunately not. But actually no, the Cuck-a-doodle-doo of the week is Adolf Hitler.
Wait a minute, can we actually have a Cuck-a-doodle-doo who's dead?
Well, the thing is, he's the Cuck-a-doodle-doo of the week as far as I'm concerned, because I came across his statements on women and his shameless white knighting, riding to the rescue.
Right, okay.
Right. So, on a friend of ours... a
friend of ours called Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Showed me Adolf's... you can look this up on YouTube. Adolf Hitler's speech on women. Right.
Who's the friend that showed you this?
I can't name.
Is it a female friend?
I'm not going to name one way or another.
Is it? So you won't even disclose if it's a female friend, because I would know then who it was.
No. So
you should be the Cuck-a-doodle-doo for having a female friend.
That's if you assume the fact that the friend is female.
Right. Okay.
So anyway, what did Adolf Hitler have to say about women? When he thinks about women like his mother sitting on a jury giving a verdict on a murder case,
right.
It should never be. He could never. His poor mum. It's not that he thinks that women are not competent to do it.
He just wants to protect.
He just wants to protect her from the horror of sitting on a murder trial.
Okay.
He will not have uniformed female police officers walking around running after scamps and criminals. Yes, he will not have them in the parliament, but not because they're not competent to sit in the parliament, because it doesn't raise the value of women.
Okay.
There's some MGTOW alt-rightist who's just like being pulled apart at both sides at the moment. He talked about women in the Soviet Union serving as sharpshooters and women's battalion of grenadiers in Spain. He says, I wouldn't be a man if I wanted to tolerate such a thing. I experienced the war. I saw how the men's nerves were shattered by it, doddering, completely ruined and broken. And men should take responsibility for this or resign. That's no equality, but inferior rights for women, because it's harder for a woman than a man. So.
Okay. Is that it? Is that your case against?
Well, I've got two more. I've got two more points, but I thought you might want to comment first.
Right. Well, who'd have thunk it? I've read similar statements by Adolf Hitler in the past. I mean, if you've read anybody's read Table Talk, which is basically written, what do you call it? Not dictated. Well, it's dictated by Hitler's after dinner talks, and they've been written down, transcribed by Martin Bormann's secretary. So he actually wrote everything, and it's a pretty good insight. And if you really want an insight into Adolf Hitler, you should read Table. You can't really afford not to read Table Talk, but. Yeah, he makes kind of similar statements, you know, at dinner and things like that. Yeah, he was a bit of a white knight when it came around. But as a white knight, I don't know if white knighting is exactly the same as being a cuck.
Are you? Actually, I thought just clickbait, man. Don't keep on the phone.
Okay, right. Well, I don't know. He's definitely white knighting it, right? Okay, let me just. Okay, here we go. Shock. Tom Laird agrees with Hitler. I think when it comes to, I mean, I've often said this, and I stick by it. I think any nation, any group of people that voluntarily puts women in the front line is morally bankrupt. So I don't think it. I don't think it's that effective. I just call me old Mr. Sexist. I think that men are far better equipped for war than women are in the first.
For no other reason than physical stature.
Well, I mean, there's some big women out there. There's definitely some tough women out there, but I think we're just talking the generalisation. You know, if one gender has to do it, then it probably makes sense. I mean, the whole point of going to war is to win it.
History. Well, I guess with the exception of the Vikings, where there was pretty much female Vikings, just like male Vikings.
Well, no, I don't think it's an argument there's female Vikings, but even there was female warriors, sort of like shield maidens and so forth.
No, they were completely, they fulfilled the same roles as men did.
I don't think that's as widespread as people are trying to make out. I think it definitely happened, but then that wasn't exclusive to Vikings. I mean, there was female warriors. Look at Boudica, or Boudicca, whatever way you want to pronounce it, and she's a warrior queen. So it happened. It was just not as widespread.
Well,
and I guess Joan of Arc would be another example of that kind of thing. So women are capable of, or some women would be capable of doing it. But I think generally speaking, from my point of view, men are just better at it.
Sure. So I mean, I think largely speaking, that's true. What the reason I bring it up is it plays into the male disposability of male life being expendable, or more expendable than female life, which historically speaking was actually true, because sperm are 10 a penny, whereas eggs would be quite valuable, especially in a tribal society, or say our ideas of someone being chaste, being pure and innocent, would have been completely out of place, say, in ancient Greece, where you were meant to get married and have children, because whatever your city-state was, you'd have enemies. You needed to have children to go to the army to, and if you were chaste, you would be seen as weird, not as pure or innocent.
Right.
But what I would say is, from a libertarian point of view, is just the collectivist undertone, where he talks about how what women could do to benefit our people the most, and what that obviously is the traditional role of raising children, and where does women's duty or a man's duty to serve our people come from? Is a man or a woman's life their own choice? He said he puts forward the conservative view, which many may agree with and many may disagree with, that a mother of 4, 5, or 6 is doing a greater service to the nation than a female lawyer,
Right.
and doing more service to the people by ensuring the continuation of our people. So the question is, as a libertarian, okay, you might not be for it, but should women who are capable have the right to choose for themselves, or should society choose for them? That's my question.
In terms of whether or not they can
if you
serve,
have a tomboy, sorry to any women in the military who don't consider themselves tomboy, but let's just to make the most ardent case for it. If you have someone who's always sort of been in the masculine side and likes that kind of thing, liked playing rugby and now wants to do it. I guess if you've got a state, it's more complicated because the state needs to make the decision. But should society dictate what roles men and women should play, or should we choose for ourselves, basically, and let the market decide?
I guess from a libertarian point of view, it's a no-brainer. It's an individual choice. Okay. So I guess if a woman wants to, I mean, you don't have to be in the army to fight in the war.
That's true.
So there's ways and means of doing it. If you look at the southern states of America during the War of Northern Aggression, there was a guy called Nathan Bedford Forrest who wasn't accepted into the Confederate Army as an officer. So he had some money. He made some money, some of it through slavery, and he put that money into just buying his own regiment. He bought horses, he bought weapons, and he outfitted his own guys and bought them uniforms and just started his own regiment and just did it. Is that
how we should be handling these problems in the Middle East instead of taxing people?
Instead of taxing people, if you've got a problem with Bashar al-Assad, maybe you should just outfit your own mercenary unit and go and sort them out. And at least then you would have to bear the consequences of that yourself. And not the taxpayer, and not well, you know where I'm going with that one.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, when we look at what is happening in North Korea just now, sometimes when I hear the news stories, I get so mad that I think, Jesus, is this really a case for intervention? Then I remember, well, in order to do that, you have to actually force people at gunpoint, and you've got no way of knowing if it's even going to be a success. So the thing is, I definitely see the case for not having women in the military. I've never been in the military. I don't know much about it. I wouldn't be happy making prescriptions. But my sense is that people who want to should have the right to, and if they don't cut it, then they should be dismissed just the same as anyone who doesn't cut it.
Yeah. What would be the situation though in America where 3 female Marines sued, I think successfully sued the American military and consequently the American government and consequently the taxpayer for what they said was that the tests that you had to do, the selection course for being a Marine was inherently sexist.
Well, okay, so
because only men could.
Well, yeah, because you need. That's like saying that the test for being a pole dancer is inherently sexist. Do you know what I mean?
Is it?
It's not quite, but it's on the same scale because you need to have certain attributes. Do you know what I mean? And if some trans person comes along and is so well done that and looks like a woman, that the manager can't distinguish between this ex-dude and a regular woman, then they can dance. But
a regular woman.
Sorry, I was trying very hard not to say that in a PC way, but it's hard with all these landmines lying around. Yeah. You get my point. If no one could tell the difference, then no one could tell the difference. But chances are diminished, very heavily diminished. And what Marines need to do is be the best. So, no, is that the British military? Who has the slogan "Be the best"? What military?
That's probably all of them. Yeah, so they all think they're. So but anyway, they sued, and I think in Britain it happened as well. There's a woman, or maybe a couple of women who sued. They had back problems, and they said it's because they were forced to march at the same pace as the guys.
So whatever you do, if you give them equal treatment, it's not right. If you give them different treatment, it's not right.
So that's the landmines that you're stepping on. I suppose for me there's a kind of moral dilemma. I mean, I see, and perhaps this is just my perception, and I need to fix my worldview. But in my perception, women are kind of life givers. Right. It's a kind of perversion.
And that's obviously what Hitler was.
That's what he's driving at there as well. So, but he was. I think he was gynocentric. I mean, he was clearly doted on by his mother.
Okay.
And his father was overbearing and kind of quite cruel. So I think he was a gynocentric person, and he fell when he fell in love. He fell in love massively. I mean, he was never in love really with Eva Braun, but he was madly in love with his half niece, Gelly Roubel.
Right.
In fact, 2 of his girlfriends committed suicide.
Wow.
And Gelly Roubel.
That's what it's like being with Hitler, man. Will drive you to suicide.
Yeah, with these gynocentric. Cuckold shite.
Right. No, I understand. A lot of us instinctively have that feeling. You want to protect a woman. You want to put her out of harm's way.
I think that's a natural.
Well, where has it got men?
Yeah, it can be problematic. Obviously, it can be problematic. I mean, I think the weird thing is he didn't want women in uniform chasing after scamps and scallywags, but he didn't seem to have a problem with women in uniform putting people into gas chambers and doing them in.
Is that true?
Well, yeah, there was female death camp. It's just weird how they kind of thought, well, we've got female prisoners in the death camp. We should have female guards there in order to look after their needs just before we kill them. It just seems weird, but it happened, and there was a few high-level cases of where women were death camp sort of not commandants but guards, and they were extremely sort of brutal and cruel.
Well, you'd have to be.
Well, yeah, I guess it would be part of the remit. Yeah.
So the only other thing was Hitler saying that woman has been the most faithful work and life companion of man in all times. Something that no MGTOW believes.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Not that I'm one. But
well, I kind of lean towards MGTOW. I'm inclined towards MGTOW, but
MGTOW curious.
I'm MGTOW curious. Yeah. I think. I don't know. Here's my case against your cuck of the week for Adolf Hitler. I'm not vehemently against it, but I just think that there's a albeit maybe aesthetic or sort of shallow difference, but there's a difference between a cuck and a white knight. They're both problematic. They're both annoying, but they're both coming from different angles. Your cuck's your kind of lefty liberal kind of sort of women, you shouldn't say that about women, man. Women are perfectly capable men, dude. Women are just as good as men, dude, right? And that's the kind of whiny, liberally sort of cuck. Whereas on the other side, on the sort of right, obviously Adolf Hitler on the right wing side of things, is that kind of white knight, that need or sort of desire to constantly come to the rescue of the damsel in distress,
right.
to slay the fire-breathing dragon, and the beautiful damsel will obviously fall in love with you and love you for the rest of your life.
It's going to limit our options if we only.
What if we just stick? Well, we can't. If we only stick to proper cuts.
Most people can decide at home who is eligible and who is not for Cuck. So I can't promise we do it every week, but if it's just the two of us and we don't have a guest and it's a good story, please email us your screenshots of Cuck behaviour to scottishlibertypodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to see some screenshots of people being cucks because it's funny.
So anyway, but this week, Adolf Hitler, you are our cuck. So
Before we go,
moving swiftly along. Big announcement. The Scottish Libertarian Party that I am proud and privileged to lead will be taking part in the Scottish Council elections taking place on May the 4th of 2017. May the 4th be with you. And we are putting up 22 candidates, which is great because I set a target of 20 that I thought was realistic, and we exceeded that. So I like my mantra of under promise and over deliver has came true. So it's there. We've got 22 candidates, and I shall, for those of you who are interested, and you should be interested if you believe in liberty and you live in Scotland, and there's one of our candidates in your area, get out there and vote. Even if you're, I know we've got all you madcap and caps out there. Yeah, I kind of get it. There's a limit to the political process, but just for fun, just for shits and giggles, even go. If you're not registered to vote, register to vote, and for once, just go and vote for the Scottish Libertarian candidate.
I'm standing.
If you're not a Libertarian, but you've got Libertarian leanings and you're inclined to vote for Conservative or you're inclined to vote for UKIP, fair enough. Can I ask you just to give us then your second vote?
You do get more than one. You
do get more than one on this. How do we call this again? It's like PR. Yeah, sorry, this is the most
well-researched libertarian show on the internet.
It is. It'll come to me. It's like a PR system. It's not quite PR.
We can talk about voting systems one time because there's a lot better systems than the one that we have.
Yeah.
For example,
it's a single transferable vote (STV) system that they're using in the Scottish Council elections. Single transferable vote. So you get first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice. You put it 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to do that. You can just put a 1 for your candidate and leave it like that. But it'd be great if you could give us your second votes if you're not a Libertarian. But if you're not a Libertarian, why aren't you a Libertarian? Why aren't you a Libertarian? Anyway, the candidates are as follows: Aberdeen City, Robbie Bowman, Ward 9, Lower Deeside. Aberdeenshire, Derek Scott, Deputy Leader, big shout out. Ward 13, West Hill. Edinburgh City, Daniel Fraser, Ward 1, Almond.
Once a guest of this show.
Yep. Yours truly, Tom Laird, Ward 5, Inverleith.
Often a guest of this show.
Yep. Callum Strange, Ward 7, Sighthill and Gorgie. Peter Cedar, Ward 11, City Centre. Dumfries and Galloway. Chris Collins, Ward 1, Stunra and North Rins. Peter McCain, Ward 4, Annandale South. East Ayrshire, check this out. Amrik Singh, Ward 1, Alnwick. Lisa Murray, Ward 2, Kilmarnock North. Steph Johnson, Ward 3, Kilmarnock Western Crosshouse. Stephen McNamara, Ward 4, Kilmarnock Eastern Hurlford. Caitlin O'Brien, Ward 5, Kilmarnock South. Stevie Brannigan, Ward 6, Irvine Valley. Shiraz Shafiq, Ward 7, Ballochmel. Gordon Bircham, Ward 8, Cumnock and New Cumnock. And Mark Mitchell, Ward 9, Doon Valley. That means that the Scottish Libertarian Party have a candidate in every single ward in Kilmarnock. So if you live in Kilmarnock, you don't have an excuse for not voting Libertarian.
That hotbed of classical liberalism.
It's a hotbed of classical liberal thought. Yeah, and that's all down to Stevie McNamara, our membership secretary there, who's done sterling and stalwart work. East Renfrewshire, Al Finlay, former party leader. He is now Ward 3, Giffnock and Thornley Bank. Fife, Callum Paul, Ward 11,
Also
Kirkcaldy
once a
Central.
guest of this show.
Also a former guest of the show, yeah. Glasgow City, some dude called Antony Sammeroff. Ward 11, Hillhead. Scott McKelvey, another guest of this very show.
That's true, twice.
Yeah. Ward 20, Bailiston, or Bailiston if you like.
Bailiston.
Yeah. Highland, Harry Christian, last but not least, Harry Christian up
Harry
there, Ward 4. Harry Christian, sorry about that, Harry. Harry Christian, Ward 4, East Sutherland and Edgerton. So that's the list of candidates. There's a full list of these candidates at www.votelibertarian.co.uk. So get out, vote for your Libertarian candidate, and it's going to be exciting times. Let's hope. Who knows? We may even get a winner. We even may get a councillor.
So what would an madcap ANCAP like me do if I won a council seat? Would that make me the biggest criticism?
They make you the Cuck of the week.
I can just defer to the Walter Block argument, which is no, I'm undermining the state through counter economics by accepting that salary in order to spread the message of liberty.
You could always accept the salary and then give it to a charity of people's choice.
Right. Well, if people's choice. That's
a bit Democrat. What a cuck. Right. Yeah.
I'll donate half to the party and the other half to.
But could you do that? I suppose you could donate half. But it's your salary. You can do what you like with it. Yeah. But I don't know how much a councillor actually gets. It's not much more than about 15, 20 grand, something like that. I guess it depends on where you're.
Yeah.
So you're for Hillhead.
A job for 4 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jobs for the boys.
Hillhead, that's former George Galloway territory.
Is it? It's very near the university, so I think it's quite a left-leaning area. So it'd be very interesting to get down to do some campaigning.
Have you been informed of any hustings as yet?
Not yet, but I look for. That's another thing. I'm hoping to get, if there are debates, I'm hoping to get them filmed and maybe we can put them on this channel.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
And you might participate in some debates as well.
I've got one. I believe there's one on the 29th of April at Stockbridge Parish Church, Stockbridge in Edinburgh. That's for the Inverleith ward. I'm going to try my utmost to get to that one. I may be working and not be able to get out of it, but if I can, I will be there. Yeah, but that's the only one I know of so far. But there'll probably be more in the run-up. So
it's a great way to spread the message of liberty, even for those who aren't interested in political action. The name of the party is going to be on several ballots, and since most people in Scotland haven't even heard the word libertarian, it's bound to raise a few eyebrows and make people go, "Oh, I wonder what that is," and they'll look us up and find out about our ideas, hopefully. So that's my main motive for getting involved, and I was happy to encourage some other people to get involved too. We're making history. We are making history as we speak. It's fantastic. I'm happy with the amount of candidates we've got. I'm happy with the sort of diversity of candidates and backgrounds that we've got there. It's tremendous. Exciting times. Maybe live in interesting times. And with that, do you have anything to add?
I only have to add, don't be a righty.
Or a lefty.
Be libertarian and vote libertarian.
And vote libertarian.